go. I'm in a little different position than I normally am because we're having some internet issues, and that is okay. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday. We know what Friday stands for. It's Fantabulous Friday. That's so much to chat about. I've got my cup of tea going. But good morning, everyone. This is Carol, so aka Naughty Boss Live with two
Sistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, multitasking over here. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And of course, it's Fantabulous Friday in the USA. We just a quick recap. We had an amazing podcast yesterday evening with our new friend and member of the Two Sistas podcast family, Sandy Forster, who's in Australia 14 hours ahead. So it was trending Thursday for us and Fantabulous Friday for her. So now we are celebrating our Fantabulous Friday.
Absolutely. And she brought so much to the table. She is an entrepreneur, went really from being $100,000 in debt and being on welfare to being a millionaire. And she is teaching other women and, men, anyone as a whole on the quantum theory, the quantum leap, the quantum field, however you want to put it, in addition to, that goes in hand with the law of attraction. And she really talks about, the thought process and the energy that comes from our thought process. And it's funny because we did chat a little bit about The Secret, which is one of my favorite movies. Well, I should say documentary. It's not really a movie, it's a documentary, which really talks about the secrets of success, that there's an abundance of energy, abundance of power for everyone in the world. It really, you have to actually focus, and it's not easy, guys, and really just focusing in on what you want out of life. And I think really what we've seen over the last 2.5 years is everyone's been obviously consumed with obviously, first off, the pandemic, the stress that brought. We always try to, that's really where our podcast was birthed, through, understanding that there was a lot of blessings, that if you focus on the blessings and not so much the stress piece to that, then it doesn't mean you negate the stress. It doesn't mean you ignore what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. So that's not what it was. What she was saying was what was missing from the documentary was the fact about taking action and putting into action. So she said, so part of what the pandemic did is it really, and I kind of felt it too, is it jumped people into going from one past podcast to another, one educational project to another, one on stage event to another, but not applying. It was easier just to, I'm joining this group because, they're filling that cup, they're filling my energy, but we weren't applying what we were learning. We weren't taking that action. And that's part of what the documentary does. It makes you understand the law of attraction, the energy force that is our thoughts. Our thoughts do carry energy, and they talk about the quantum and the really the teeny pieces and the spaces between those. But sadly, a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's not just entrepreneurs, it's also, brick and mortar, or anyone that's, really has that money mindset and entrepreneurial mindset, that they go from course to course, but they don't act on what they're learning. They go and, they finish one course and then they jump into their, okay, we're going to do this project, never quite complete it, and then jump into another course. Or, even taking that a step further, go from one business to another. Like I really want to do this. I've learned all this stuff from my course. Jump in, and for whatever reason, you get derailed. You lose that passion. You don't quite. Maybe it's not really quite for you. And then you jump into another course, and then you jump into another business. So what she was saying was, you really have to put the mindset focus. Again, it doesn't negate that you're dealing with other things in your life. You focus on them, but you want to balance the percentage differently. So in other words, if you're doing say 50% of scrolling and, getting stuck on what's going on in our world, we get it. We do it as well. You can't help it because there's so much going on. but maybe cutting that down to maybe a quarter of your time, and now maybe 3/4 of your time going after those goals that you want to go, putting out in the universe what you want, but not just putting it out. Like she actually had an interesting concept about vision boards, which vision boards are definitely a powerful tool for sure. And a lot of entrepreneurs do that. They're physically putting a picture or words or a collage of what they're seeking. That is good. However, it means nothing. She said it means nothing if you're not taking the action steps that will eventually lead to those vision boards. Don't you think, Jen? I mean, she gave us so much.
Oh my God, so many golden nuggets. And you know what I took away from that? Well, I took away so much away from that. And the doorbell's ringing, but that's okay. What I took away from that is that she's taking what we know or what we've been taught so far on such a different level and doing it in such a way that it's conducive to, for instance, you just said the vision board. Vision boards are fantastic. It's a goal to reach. But for instance, if you're in that realm where you're stuck in the negativity mode, and listen, we all have been at one point or another, and it's like taking some of that away. So for instance, a lot of times we need to process our feelings, right? That's very important. And what I have found is that, you know, when I get to that point where I'm like, you know, and I know that I have to vent, or maybe it's I walk around the house and, you know, I can't believe whatever may be going on, is to recognize it, feel it. I set the timer on my phone for 5 minutes to let myself vent. As soon as that timer goes off, that's it. I'm done.
Right. And the other piece to that is because, and you're really good about that with the 5 minutes. But one of the questions we asked her, which I thought was, you know, paramount, because I wanted to obviously get her expertise and her opinion on it, is, you know, there are so many things that, in addition to building a business and learning different ways of getting that mindset correct for an entrepreneur, at the same time that you're balancing different things that are going on in your life. So an example, I'm going to use myself as an example. You know, I'm working really hard, obviously, in educating people and really showcasing to people what is going on regarding children and school systems, regarding curriculum in school systems, regarding ideologies, indoctrination. And there's a lot to that. There's so many layers to that, it brings out those feelings of, you know, there's stress, because you're trying to get the word out. You're trying to get people to understand the severity of the situation that's going on with children. And what happens is, when we talk about the quantum leap and the quantum field and putting it out to the universe and what our thought processes are, those are some things that you still have to address. Those are still things that you are of value to you. They're a passion, and hopefully they connect you to other like-minded individuals that are fighting that cause, doing that kind of work. So you've got to almost put it into different compartments of where you're spending your energy and your thought process. So in other words, if I carry that load all day long, and I have been, because it's worrisome to me, especially now what they're talking about, the puberty blockers, which are actually the chemical castration, those are serious issues. So my passion and my focus is there to obviously to bring awareness to that. But I also got to remember that that's in one compartment, and you know, I'm going to only spend so much of my time and my value that I'm bringing to others in a more compact time frame, and then move on to the other areas of passion in my life, to make sure that the energy level, that my thought process, that what I'm putting out into the universe is more balanced. Because what frequently happens is you can get sucked into that rabbit hole. And we know those rabbit holes, let's face it, guys, those rabbit holes we can't control. We cannot control how far they take us down, by which I'm saying by information, because the more you learn, it brings you to another rabbit hole. So that's not what I'm saying, because all those rabbit holes are definitely important. What I'm saying is you really have to say, okay, I've got to start scheduling myself, because if you are an advocate for children, that can consume up a lot of your time, and it's important, but you also have to not negate all the other pieces of your life that are important, which is money mindset, which could be your entrepreneurship, developing your business online, helping others in other ways in your community, or your neighborhood, whatever it may be. So you have to kind of put it into compartment. And interesting enough, she reminded me so much of what I already knew that I should be doing, but I wasn't doing.
Well, it was such a great conversation, because it solidified so many things, but we learned from it. It's like taking it a step further. And, for instance, as we talk about, different things that happen in the world, the negativity, the stress that we feel, we've often heard of, that phrase, and we have often felt when you walk into the room, oh my God, the energy was so bad, you cut it with a knife. Well, that is so true. So if we're filling our minds and our hearts with, and I'm guilty of it, scrolling, you scroll. I mean, really, how much time do we spend scrolling? And for the different keyboard warriors that are out there, that maybe you want to respond to something, and excuse me, which I have at times, but I've had to pull myself back from that, because that takes away too much of my energy. And although social media, and this doesn't mean just social media, I'm just using that as an example, takes away some of that energy. Like I think what we have to remember is that we are in control of our energy. So if we know that we're going into, a lot of times we do not know we're going into a stressful situation, but there are stressful things around us. It's how do you take that information, filter it in if you need to, vent if you need to, excuse me, and go forward. But take action on those steps to keep yourself going with that momentum with the law of attraction. It's taking the action steps. We talk frequently about the vision boards. Well, if I have a vision board up and I don't know, let's say it's a new car, and she used that great example last night. Are we taking the steps that are actionable that maybe we're not thinking about? Maybe it's just, a shit kicker kind of car where you just want to get from point A to point B, but you're, I don't know. Well, maybe if you start thinking that you already have it, it's in your possession, and that's going to save you money on gas. You get that good feeling, like feel that energy and bring it in, because your subconscious doesn't know reality versus not having it. So why not take that actionable step? And again, these are just very simple examples that I'm thinking of. And what I love about what she provided us, all that great information, was also a link to her free affirmations and some, excuse me, and some audio. So check out the show notes from yesterday, and that's in there. They were just uploaded this morning. And yeah, so it was a great podcast episode.
It was. And one of the things that it also, after the podcast was over and I got to digest some of the things, there's so many, we always talk about the value of humor, the value of laughter. And so yesterday I did a post, and it basically, it starts out with, good morning, oh my God, I'm not sure if you heard, but I was at the gas station, short version, I was robbed. And then the police came and they go, did you, see the perpetrator? Did you, did this? I said, yeah, pump two. And I had so many people, and obviously it's a joke because I'm saying the perpetrator was pump two, reflecting, what's going on in the world with gas prices, which again, we can't control, guys. And if we can't control it, you might as well, yeah, it bites, it sucks, but flip that energy around and try to draw some humor out of it to kind of lessen the load of the stress. Because we can't control the gas pump, guys. We can't do it. We can't. We're not in DC. We're not the ones drilling. We're, of course, I don't think our country is drilling, but the whole point is we can't control all that stuff, right? So why not try to ease that load, ease that stress with some humor? I had so many people going, not only commenting that didn't obviously read through it all the way. Well, you did the smart thing that you actually called me to get the information. I had so many people texting me and messaging me, oh my God, are you okay? That was horrible, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, do I feel bad that they didn't get it? No, I didn't feel bad at all. I just, that made me even laugh even more that people didn't obviously read it. Would also obviously goes to show another aspect of social media. You got to read through the entire post, digest it, pause, maybe reread it again. And that is an example of humanity, jumping the gun because we're so used to get the information, read a snippet, and then react. And it was not only a lesson in seeing, who gets humor, but also less of really showing a very good example how people just, and it's no fault of anybody. It's what we're made of because we're so used to a snippet of an alert. An alert on your phone is usually a one-liner, a news alert one-liner. And I think people are now using social media because they're so trained for a one-line alert or a simple text that they're not actually reading through. So it was which I was not expecting, that the percentage, and then the percentage of the stats were more thought I really was wrong than the percentage of those that got that it was a joke. So that was an eye opener for me. The other key piece, because it's Fantabulous Friday, and she talked snippets last night about different stuff like that. Part of what we're going through and what we've been going through in our energy, there's another compartment of energy now that is spent with maybe not like-minded people. Maybe these were your friends, or your family for life, obviously, but family members that all of a sudden you realize your friends and your family don't exactly have the same like mind as you do, right? Whether it's politics, whether, difference of opinion on party, difference of opinion on what's going on in the world. And so many people, because I'm constantly seeing these types of posts where they're talking about, it's okay to let people go, and I've done that too, because I do believe in that. But even more detailed, basically, they feel like it's a loss, which I guess you could, I don't look at it as a loss. When someone enters my life and they're no longer in my life, I don't look at it as a loss. I look at it that they were present for a period of time that I needed them to be present. And now they're being present in someone else's life. And I don't look at it as a negative towards me. It could be, and that's why I did a post this morning about cup of tea. And of course, I'm drinking my cup of tea. I do a green tea. I don't like caffeine, so I do something milder. And I usually make it organic, but I like my tea with honey. I've gotten away from milk and sugar, right? Hence, I'm changing how I'm drinking my tea. Use that same analogy with people that you know. You might not be everybody's cup of tea. Don't take it personal. If you have an ideology or way of thinking or something that you're passionate about, and you are finding that people that were in your circle, in your corner, are no longer there, let it go. Do not waste your energy. Again, quantum leap, quantum energy, quantum field, your energy, your thoughts. If you're consuming now your thoughts, besides all the craziness that's going on in the world, about all the people that are not in your life anymore because they think differently than you or have a difference of opinion, just let it go. They're not your cup of tea right now. Maybe eventually they will. Maybe they'll never be your cup of tea again. Or maybe vice versa. You weren't, because you're feeling like, this person doesn't reach out to me. I never hear from this person. Been there, done that. And I've learned that relationships, just like your partner, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your lover, whatever, takes energy, right? It takes energy to keep relationships going. If you are finding that it's one-sided, the energy level is one-sided, that means you're not their cup of tea anymore. If they're not reaching back out to you, if they're not calling you, if they're not visiting you, if they don't even have the time to text you, that's a pretty good sign you're not their cup of tea. Don't take offense to it. And I think too many people are taking offense and not celebrating themselves for who they are. Don't shortchange your value. Don't shortchange your worth, and don't waste your energy on trying to like get them back in the fold or continually to reach out to them, because that kind of cycle only creates maybe an energy for you that you feel bad about yourself. Never feel bad about yourself. You are your own unique individual. And what do we say, Jan? We always say we are all perfect. We're all imperfectly perfect. And it's okay that that person's gone. Yeah, does it sting a little bit? Of course it does. And the fact that it does sting shows how much that you value the person and that you're the good person. If they haven't been able to reach out to you and say, hey, I'm not really jiving what you're doing with this, and you have that conversation, that is a friend that still is willing, or a family member that's still willing to have you in the fold. They're not in agreement, but at least they're taking the steps to chat about with you, so they care. So they're still showing they care. If you're not getting any of that, let it go.
Well, yeah, that's so true. And that happens with a lot of things in life. And, I think that we have to, it's like we have to attract our own superpower, right? You create, you take in what you're putting out in the world. If you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, God, I feel like crap, I'm gonna have a crappy day. Well, guess what? You're going to have a crappy day. You're putting out that energy. That's not always easy to control. So, I always go back to my 5-minute rule. And there have been times, I freely admit this, where I've had to add an additional 5 minutes. God, and I have a lot of place to walk within this house. So, I'm, upstairs, downstairs, go up and down the stairs, the spiral staircase, just to, bring it down. So my question for everyone, I'm going to just throw it out there. What do you do to bring it down, to kind of take that moment and renegotiate your energy fields? Like, what do you do? Do you have some tips that maybe we haven't shared that may benefit somebody else?
Absolutely. And we love that. We love getting tips from people. Last night, I actually did that. I had an old affirmation where it really talked about not the I ams, because there's a lot of those out there. It's more about just, self-worth, celebration, positivity, and that, you can, the more you talk about it, the more it will become. Now, when we say that, it's not instant, guys, but how many of you can relate to, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. Stuck on traffic. Two. Oh my God, I can't believe this person's on the road. I got an appointment to get to. I'm running late. Oh my God, another red light. Are you kidding me? That guy just cut me off. What is going on? And the more you do that, the later you get. Reverse that to celebrating yourself, having that conversation in the mirror and saying, you know what? I had a tough week, but man, I managed to still do this. Or, I wasn't feeling my best. I had, not only wasn't I feeling my best, but people were really getting on my nerves. But wow, I for whatever reason, I turned my energy into focusing on something else. And I kind of left that conversation feeling better because I didn't engage in such a way that would make me feel bad, or having them make me feel bad, because sometimes we do that too. So really, and it's not easy. It's hard to renegotiate your thought process, but that's the whole point of what we're talking about with quantum field, with the energy, with putting out there. You could put out all this energy out into the universe, and that's good. That's a piece to it, but you have to have actions. So if you're an entrepreneur, for instance, and you find like you're struggling in your business, it goes up and down, you know, whether you are, you have your own home-based business, you're a painter, you're whatever it may be, or you're work for a company that you're selling a product that you believe in, and you kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down. Or you decide, I think I want to be an entrepreneur with bed and breakfasts. Oh my gosh, you know, all 3 deals fell through. I'm never going to get that house, or I'm not going to qualify for that loan. It's a little bit higher. Keep putting that energy out there. Things don't happen overnight, but if you take steps every day and designate those steps, if you got to write them down in your calendar, if you got to write them down in your planner, 2 hours straight, I am going to actually get my head right. And then I'm going to do, you know, some journaling. I'm going to do some affirmations, you know, get my juju on. That's not enough. Now I'm also going to schedule myself double that time, 4 hours, and I can split it up, maybe 2 hours during the day, 2 hours at night, nooks and crannies of your day, on taking action now to get to those goals, to get to those steps. Now, yeah, you're going to get those people out there. Don't focus on them, that things just automatically happen easy. Maybe if they're in direct sales, they build up a big team real quick, or they decide, you know, they take a bed and breakfast course and all of a sudden they've got 4 properties. Or you have someone that started out with, you know, just painting friend's house, and now boom, he landed 2 big deals with 2 big, you know, businesses. Don't focus on that. Focus on what you can control. And sometimes it takes people more steps. Maybe their situation differently. So let's give 2 examples. Maybe you have someone's got little children, right? They're doing their business, and they are really doing it in the nooks and crannies of their day because they're balancing children, school, homework, laundry, all those things combined, right? So it may take them a little bit longer because they've got other things. And then all of a sudden you may find someone, maybe same age bracket, but that person doesn't have a family. They're not juggling like the mom is juggling. So they can focus more energy, more hours of the day. And maybe that's why their goals are being reached a little, you know, come to fruition quicker. So we can't, we get stuck on trying to mimic, we get stuck on trying to compete, we get stuck on comparing. We don't want to do that because that kind of energy is no good. Just tunnel vision your goals, tunnel vision your energy. And when you do that, no, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not this like, whoo, quick thing. But the other interesting piece she brought, the typical thing that most people put out in the world for energy is more money. Well, if you're not specific with the action or the actual thought, you could go outside, and she said you could be walking and you could find a penny or a nickel. Well, guess what? That's more money than you had. You have to be intentional. Intentional. So you say you want a house, you want a bigger house. Well, what kind of bigger house do you want? Do you want it on the beach? Do you want it in the Caribbean? Do you want it in the mountains? Where do you want that house? Go out and find a picture and put that in your, not only on your vision board, but wrap it in your brain. Maybe put it as your screensaver so you see it often, but visualize. You want that car, whether it's a junky car, whether it's a sports car, go out and start looking at cars. Take the action as if you're going to buy it that day. That's a weird concept, Carol Sue. Go to an auto dealership. Yeah, go to an auto dealership or use car lot and actually start looking at cars. Get behind the wheel, feel it. Is this really what I want? And you're now taking those actions that you're putting it out and that energy into the universe. And that's going to help your thought process, because you're going to go home and, God, I love the way that car smelled, or that steering wheel felt, or I got to drive it. Man, was it so tight around the corners. God, I love those wheels. I blasting that music. I can see myself in that. If it's a house, what do you do with that? Well, guess what? If you don't want to actually get a realtor and physically going out and seeing houses, guess what? There's virtual tours online. Pretend that you are and visualize that you're going to buy that house and start going on virtual tours right on your computer, guys. Good way to use your devices too, right? So when we're talking about taking action steps, you want to build a business, We talk about, my particular, what I'm connected to, which is the nutritional company. I share, make sure that my third step, my DFT sticker is sticking out. I talk to a lot of people about it. I envision others feeling good and I talk to them, and that really shines. That's taking action into sharing what I'm passionate about. So I'm taking that action to put it out in the universe. So those are, how about you? You must have got some good examples too. Why don't you share them?
Well, their words or their actions, for instance, the word can't, I can't do this. I don't have enough time. So turn that around. Like if you want to, let's say your answer to everything is, I don't have enough time. What I would suggest is you only have to do this for one day, and you have to be very honest with yourself. Map out what you do. I woke up at 4:30. I was scrolling for 1 hour. Like, be totally honest with yourself. This I did for an hour, and you don't have to be very detailed about it, but just cue in the words there, 8 to 10 chores, whatever it is. And then go through that list the next day and say, if your goal is to go for a 15-minute walk before you leave for work, I see I was scrolling for an hour. I can still wake up at the same time, have my stuff ready the night before, get changed quickly, go for my 15-minute walk, come back as I'm getting everything else ready for the day, scroll for 5 minutes, put the timer on my phone, and you be like, imagine how good you are going to feel. Like, oh my God, I did it. So those are just some things that you can do to kind of turn things around. The other thing, excuse me, that you may want to do is, if you are, I think we've become, as a society, and this is kind of a blanket statement, there's news alerts like all the time. Breaking news, breaking news. Now, I remember when we were kids, like the Channel 8, I can still hear the do, it was that alert that, oh my God, there's breaking news. And you were like, oh crap, what's going on? And we, of course, would, see what was going on in the world. But now it's like nonstop breaking news. And we're so, I think the word is desensitized.
Yes.
From looking at it. So it's almost like, excuse me, like the boy who called wolf. Like, okay, turn the alerts off on your phone. If it's like if you're an online entrepreneur, or you don't have to be an online entrepreneur, and those are distracting you, turn them off.
Yeah,
I've had to do that because it's distracting. Most of the time it's annoying. And, I have different.
Not important. I mean, granted, I know, like even with this past trial this week, Johnny Depp, and I was cracking up because there's so many people saying, well, wait a minute, there was another big trial that we don't get any alerts on, which is actually the real important trial, and yet we're getting alerts on Johnny Depp. And it really shows you society what is important. The movie star, the actor, the dysfunction and the distraction, because let's face it, it was kind of I didn't see the trial, I saw snippets, obviously, with alerts, but it sounded like it was kind of cray-cray. And I think sometimes cray-cray for some people is a good distraction, but how good really is it? The other key piece that she brought up too was having that conversation with your partner, your loved one, your husband, your wife, that may not be in support of what you're doing. That's a key piece, because that happens more frequently than not. So this morning, ironically, John supports everything I do all the time. He said, you could be in the office all day long if you choose. So he's out playing pickleball, he's doing his thing. And obviously, because of my injuries, I can't play pickleball right now, but which is kind of a good thing, because I've got other things I got to focus on. So it's about balance. But we were talking about what was going on, and obviously the economics of the world, the economics with us, economics with what's going on with everybody. And I reminded him, I said, remember what we talked about a couple of years ago when you thought I was a little cuckoo, the first time that I actually saw the documentary, The Secret. And I gave him some examples that really applied to him. And we had that conversation again this morning because he said, "Oh, you're doing a podcast this morning. I thought you had, your podcast last night. You normally," and I said, "I don't remember. It's Thursday." He goes, "Oh, that's right. It's Thursday. Then you have one Friday morning." So I was telling him, giving him some insight, having that conversation with him. And I said, because he came in, he was kind of doing some calculations in his brain, where we are, in the next 2 years, the steps that he's taken to make sure, our finances are secure with everything that's going on in the world. And I said, and then he kind of went into a little bit another direction. And I said, "You know what? Last night's podcast really reminded me that we haven't been cognizant of where our energy with our thought processes, because frequently, like you said, the news alerts come in, he'll flip on the channel. He does happen to watch the news here and there. I don't, but he does." And I told him, I said, "Remember there was a good month where you weren't watching?" And he said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, actually, I'm kind of tired this morning because, I was watching stuff and then I fell asleep and then I woke up, I had choppy sleep." He says, "But you know what I noticed when I'm tired? I actually play better in pickleball because I'm not so wound up." And I said, "Well, that's the same thing with your thought process when you are thinking about the economic piece to our lives. And then you go to watch the news and it's just a cycle." I said, "We've got to start breaking that again. We were really good about it for a while, but I said, we've got to flip that switch." And he said, "You know what? You're right. I got to start being more cognizant of where my thoughts are." And it's just as simple as that, having that conversation with your family member and say, "Hey, we're going to do less TV. We're going to do less devices. We are, going to take maybe only one device if we're out. Obviously, for emergency purposes, you always should have a device with you, a cell phone. But we're not going to, they're going to be in, a pocketbook or, wherever, and not on the table if you're going out to eat, when you're with friends. Be present in the moment. We're taking for granted that this person is going to be around all the time. And how sad would it be knowing that, something, unforeseen happened, and we reflect on maybe that last time we saw them, or vice versa, but your energy was spent on being on your device." So it's all these little things that I think we've got to really start deciding what's important. Where do we want our energy? Because our thoughts are energy. Where do we want the energy going?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's so much more I could talk about this, her being on. And we also, we appreciate the feedback on different podcasts, and we so appreciate, differences of opinions, because, that's where some great conversations, can happen, and it's okay to disagree. And we always say in a very respectful manner. So have those conversations, be gentle and kind to yourself, protect your energy, and excuse me, go out in the world and do good, because it's Fantabulous Friday. And by the way, I am dying for a martini, so I may just have to go out and get a martini this evening. Who knows?
That sounds yummy. We actually got some much needed rain during the night, and we are in for, I believe, 1 or 2 combined storms or something to that effect. I don't pay attention to the weather because I don't care where you live in the world. The weatherman, sorry guys, you just don't get it right sometimes. So I never know. So the alert is that we are getting some rain, but you know what? We need it. Our 2, well, I call them ponds. They are technically, quote, lakes. That's what they call them, but for me, they're ponds, and they are depleted somewhat. Obviously, the grounds, the flowers, whatever, we have an irrigation system, so it does still get water, but we do need the rain where, the table level's a little low. And the reason why we were actually talking in the neighborhood with a irrigation specialist, and he was just talking about, generally speaking, that some people that have a not so deep well are finding some issues now because there's a drought going on. So, we are probably not, we're not going, we were supposed to go away this weekend, but we were going to go to Deerfield Beach, but because the weather's going to be not the best, we postponed that trip to July. And we're going to just do some house entertaining and a little relax, maybe watch some good movies, and obviously work my business and put those good vibes out there, that energy. But it is Fantabulous Friday. This is a day to celebrate you. No one celebrates you best than yourself. So I have that conversation. You know, give yourself a pat on the back for what you accomplished. Even if you don't think it's a big deal, it is a big deal, because maybe you had to renegotiate your day. Maybe you had to renegotiate some scheduling issues. Maybe you were sidetracked and couldn't get to some things, but miraculously, whatever you were sidetracked, it came out wonderful. Whatever it may be, celebrate you. No one celebrates you better than that. And you know, you deserve that. You deserve to say, congratulations, I did good. There's nothing better than that. I know it sounds odd, because I know when I first started having that conversation in the mirror. So I tell people, I said, do you talk to yourself? Like whether it's verbally, like out of your body, meaning having you talk out loud, or you talk to yourself in your brain. That's the same thing as talking to yourself in the mirror. So just look in the mirror, because you're going to see, you know, you may start making fun of yourself, making cookie faces, making yourself giggle, laugh, humor. We know humor does so much for the mindset. Don't you think, Jim?
How you doing? Absolutely. That's one of my things. How you doing? And remember the Billy Crystal thing? It's not how you feel, it's how you look. And you look marvelous. So I try changing my accent. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But anyways, it is Fantabulous Friday. We hope you all have an amazing weekend. And we are fast approaching our 500th episode, which probably will be in the next month and a half or so. I estimate sometime probably in July, but we'll get back to you with the details on that. It's going to be a big one. We have a great lineup so far. So can't wait to share that information with you. And on that note, my name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, and I'm with
TwoSistas, and this is Carol, so aka Naughty Boss. Going to get my energy on, going to go celebrate a bunch of good stuff that I got done this week. I hope you do the same. We hope no matter where you are in the world that you're safe, that you get on the kindness train, have patience, but don't forget, your thoughts are energy. What kind of energy are you going to put out? Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday for Monday Mindset. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.